There we go. Oh, shit. There we go.
All right, we are all set. Welcome aboard, everybody. My name is Doobyis. This is something I call Fly in Formation. It's a interview series that is a spin-off from my mix show. Every week I do a mix show called After the Smoke is Clear, or at Sick Radio, that you can find at mixcloud.com/Doobyis. Spin nothing but independent Canadian hip-hop every week, and I do my best just to try to keep up with the individual scenes across the country, listen to the new music, choose what I like, and put it into a upcoming mix of AtSick as quickly as possible, just to stay up to date with all the new music that comes out across the country. Today, for Fly in Formation, what do we? Episode number 117 we're on today. I am talking with Saskatoon-based longtime MC, half of a duo called Harvey Dent. Welcome, Ev Thompson. Thanks for joining me, man. How you doing?
Great, man. It's awesome to finally connect with you, dude. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into this a little bit.
The camera's having a tough time
I was
focusing on
wondering
me.
if that
There
was
we go.
mine having trouble keeping up. Oh, we're
No,
good.
no, I think that was my camera just shitting the bed a little bit, but that's all good. Yeah, man, I appreciate you being here. I'm glad that we could make this happen. I think we were going to talk last time about the Harvey Dent album that came out. I don't know, when
Yeah.
was that? The spring?
Yeah, we had one come out in May. Yeah.
Okay,
No,
yes.
pardon
So
me, it was April. Yeah.
great. Yeah, so you've been busy this year, man. Lots of music, whether it's solo, this new project is going to be a solo project, or that Harvey
Yeah.
Dent album. I guess just to kind of start off, in case people don't know who you are, do you mind giving a little bit of a kind of recap of your, musical journey up till this point?
Yeah, I'll try not to be too extremely long-winded on this one, but
Hey, I'm here for
yeah,
it, man.
I
Yeah.
go by the name F. Thompson. I actually live in rural Saskatchewan now, but I still say I represent for Saskatoon. Um, that being said, formerly known as Sequel, CQUEL, I went by that name from, I guess, the late 90s up till about 20, I guess it was 2018, when I made the change to just going by F. Thompson. And yeah, also part of the group Harvey Dent, some of my homeboy from Saskatoon, Curls. We put that group together in, I guess, 2020. We'd done lots of songs where we feature on each other's albums and shit like that, and we would always end up performing at a show and bringing each other up. Or if it was like a big gig, we'd go down as Sequel and Curls. And eventually, just kind of said, you know what, let's do something together as a project and form that group. And I mean, we've kind of just been as prolific as ever with that group too. So it's like, even though I feel like I make a lot of music myself as Ev Thompson, and I've always been someone who makes a ton of music, now I've got this group that we're also always on the grind too. So it's awesome, man. Like there's
Nice.
always
So
somewhere
when
to put stuff.
when did you and Curls actually link up to form Harvey Dent? Like, what year were we talking for that?
2020. Yeah, it was
Okay.
late 2020. We were both putting out albums and we put them out the same day and then just said, okay, next project is us as a group. We decided we're going to call ourselves Harvey Dent. We started doing at that time like a monthly little cipher series that we did like the selfie cam thing for. And that's what we brought back this year. But this year we did it every 2 months or every 2 weeks, pardon me. And I don't know, man. It's just been lots of fun. It's like something to
Nice,
put
dude.
together every week, every couple weeks.
Yeah, it's good to have some kind of project like that where it's a weekly drop to keep yourself active and keep the sword sharp almost, right? Just to stay
Yeah.
focused on music.
And it's
Yeah.
like, it's so dope because where a lot of the music that I make can often be either like a storytelling song or maybe something that's, not going to go off live the same way as some of these joints that we do as Harvey Dent. Like the shows we've been doing as the group have been so different and it's like a really hype. And then when I draw it back to, my own stuff, I don't have to worry about making like the party joints and whatnot, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. You can just focus on what you yourself want to express more so than kind of trying to meet a more mainstream approach or something like that, maybe?
Kinda, like, it's almost like the group is somewhere to get your bars off, you know what I mean? Like hip hop's the only genre that is, like, competitive like a sport too, right?
Yeah,
And I know that's what draws a lot of us to it. So, like, that's somewhere where we can flex a little bit and then also kinda draw back into that kinda old school, kinda mentality together where we share a lot of the same interests, whether it's, wrestling or video games or old action movies and, just trying to be clever with it a little bit where
yeah,
I've as my own stuff, yes, there's some of that, but there's also where it can be a little bit more personal and then trying to be clever within that. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
That makes a lot of sense for sure, man. I was surprised with the group name Harvey Dent. Like Harvey Dent, for people who aren't comic nerds, is the real name of Two Face in the
Right.
Batman comics, right? So, like that you guys got YouTube.com/Harvey Dent. I was like, how the fuck did you manage that without DC coming after you or whatever? Like, uh, is
If
there
I can
any
get a
worry
cease
there
and
that
desist,
DC
man.
eventually? Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
that would be a feather in my cap if they reached out to us. That would be
Sure.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, it
um,
doesn't slow either of us down either. Like if that was to happen, it would almost be like, sweet. I needed that little juice to the group here. Let's change it
sometimes
up
something
now.
like that can be, something for people to write an article about that gets your name in front of a lot more people. If it ended
Right?
up being picked up by whatever media organizations or whatever, yeah,
Yeah,
it
like
can
it's
can
not
end
the
up working.
goal, obviously, right?
Sure,
But it's the same as like when we sample shit. Like I know that if I've got a Karate Kid sample in the background of something, somebody could get a little upset and come after me for that. But
sure.
like, come on, man.
It's the
I'm
blood from a
realistic.
stone thing, right?
Yeah, I know where
What are
I'm
they
at.
gonna get? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes a lot of sense. How about I guess we touched on kind of the name of your group. How about switching from being sequel to Ev Thompson? Have you noticed a difference in reception since the name changed personally?
Initially, kind of. I mean, it was one of those things where like I came to a point in my life where I was like, my music was starting to change a little bit. I was starting to feel a little bit more grown up. And I had been that guy since literally like 1998, I think was the year I decided to go by sequel. And that even only came from like, I had a different name before that. And then I had like some beef as a teenager with some guys and they started lining out my tags across town. So I
Oh
switched my
shit!
name.
Yeah, whacked out murals and shit, man.
Yeah, right. So
uh,
I mean, yeah. And then I don't know. I just decided with a homie of mine, Noah from Calgary, he was part of the Random Humans, and him and I started touring together. And he threw it out there like, "Why don't you just go by Ev Thompson?" And yeah, the rest was
I
history, man.
I assume that must be your government name then, right? Like, there's a
Yeah,
wave of artists who just go by their government name. I think more and more often people are not using the hip hop monikers as much these days. But
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, that's what my mom calls me. You know what I mean? So hey, that works for me. I
yeah,
mean, it's the same. At the end of the day, it's the same shit. But like as artists, we all go through that growth. I just happened to change my name along the way,
sure,
and I don't feel like it was that hard. The starting over part of it, like I grinded pretty hard for a long time under sequel, and I know not all the fans came along with me, but that kind of is a whole nother story in terms of just as an indie artist knowing how to actually connect to your fans and have a way to reach out to them you know
right.
we all rely on things like the social media stuff and like it goes beyond that if you actually want to kind of retain a connection with a fan. So
Yeah,
that's,
for
like I
real,
said, a
man.
whole nother story.
Yeah, you talk a lot about the social media stuff on this new album, though. I appreciate you sending it over so I could check it out. I've listened through, I
Cool.
think 3 times today.
Nice.
8-track album. I really enjoyed it.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I guess do you want to just tell people what they could expect from the new project and when it drops and all that good stuff?
Yeah, man, it's kind of like It was called 45 isn't 23. And it's kind of like a comeback mindset, like inspired by the comeback of Michael Jordan in 1995. So, like, I guess just to get into that real quick before I say much more, for anybody who doesn't know, like, I'm 45 years old. So, like, I know that your audience spans from guys that are older than me to guys that are like in their 20s.
Totally.
So, for guys who maybe don't know, back when Michael Jordan had won 3 championships in a row, he left basketball, went and played baseball, ended up coming back when there was, I think, 17 games left in the season, the one year to play for the Bulls. He had to wear number 45. All right. They had already retired his number. Comes
Okay.
back, first game against the Magic, big steal. Nick Anderson steals the ball from him, blah, 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 blah. They win the game. He ends up saying to Michael Jordan something along the lines of 45 isn't 20, quite like 23. So I guess it was the next game. Jordan comes back, peels off the jacket. He's wearing number 23 again. They win the game, yada, yada, yada. There's more to the story, but that's kind
Had they
of,
taken the number down from the rafters? Like when you retire a number, don't they normally leave it up there? Or when he
well,
went back to
eventually they had
23,
to,
did they?
right? Because the
Okay.
next season he was back full time to playing again and got to wear his number again. But
Okay.
like, it was cool because every time he wore 23 in that playoff series, they got fined. But it was just like, yo, whatever. I'm Michael Jordan. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
He's
he's a
not going to
bad
miss it.
man.
Yeah. He's selling enough shoes for sure.
Exactly, right? Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty dope. So I guess I'm basically kind of drawing inspiration to that is like, long story short, I mean, about 2 years ago, I had like kind of a life altering illness. And like, it wasn't something where I was on my deathbed. But it made me really kind of reflect on a lot of things. And it's funny how like life altering events can do that to you, man. And it kind of helped me realize that one of the things that is really important to me as I start to kind of rebuild is music and how I deliver it to people. And luckily enough, when it all happened, again, I talk about how like prolific me and Harvey Dent are as a group and like how prolific I've been myself at just constantly making music. I had a ton of music and music videos even that were just in the tank. And while I was out of commission, we had a ton of stuff we could still put out. And like to the point where until the end of the year, I probably shouldn't even performed then. I hadn't been able to really walk very good. I was on a cane and a walker at one point, but we did a show. And yeah, like it was just crazy. We had all this material that we just kept the momentum the whole way. And then ended up winning the Sask Music Award that year for Hip Hop Artist of the Year. And like I was out of commission all year. So I'm like, dude, imagine what we can do when we can like get it popping for real.
yeah. If
You
you
know what
won
I'm
it from
saying?
bed, what's going to happen when you're actually able to go out and do more shows and shit, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry to kind of get back on track. It was like I really started to reflect on a lot of things. And this was like the first album that I took a super fucking long time putting together and like really went through tracks and had songs where like I was feeling the song and what I wrote, but wasn't feeling maybe the beat or like felt like a couple of different songs maybe should be one song. Where in the past, I've gone in the studio and been like, okay, let's go and wrote the verse right there and hop in. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I put out a solo project a while ago that in like summer of 2024 that on a long weekend I wrote a song and recorded it and then was just like, yo, this guy said he's got more beats. So let me just grab some more of these beats from this guy and make a bunch more. And I made an EP in that weekend.
Yeah. Nice.
And this was just such a different approach. And yeah, man, it helped me just kind of get a little bit more personal. And when I talk about just like things that matter to me, it was interesting where we go back to that cleverness with an MC and like trying to tie that into actually telling a story that means something is coming from somewhere and then attaching the concept to it, it just kind of makes it art. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, for sure, man. So, um, as compared to when you can write something, record it right there. With this project, were you writing and then practicing deliveries for a while before you would record it?
Well, it's funny you ask it like that because a lot of the time when I do write, I'll find first I have to have a beat. I rarely write a song where I don't have a beat that I know I'm going to rap on.
Right.
That beat might end up changing. That happens sometimes. Like the vibe completely changes sometimes. But for the most part, I always start with a beat. And a lot of the time, what I'm doing first is I'm just hearing a certain cadence on it. And then that's kind of where it all starts from. This
Um,
project, yeah, I was still kind of going along with that same sort of train of thought. And I still kind of operated that way. But like I say, I was a little bit more picky about the final versions where I would record a demo, let's say, and listen to it for a while and just be like, I'm not in love with this. Like there was a point where I thought this was going to be about a 15 track album.
okay.
And then I made like, I don't know, 20, 25 songs. Some of them made it, some of them made it on completely different beats. Some of them, I went back to the drawing board after I recorded it. I do still have little things that I kind of hold myself accountable for when I record stuff. Like I don't like punch-ins. I mean,
Okay. Do the one
I know
take all the
it's
way through. Yeah.
yeah, like it's necessary. I get it sometimes, but I have to at least be able to rip through a verse, listen to that take, and go, "Yeah, I got this. We're good." And I mean, I lace all sorts of dubs and ad libs and stuff all over the background of stuff, anyways. But like, I got to be able to deliver it.
Yeah. Well, that's important because if you're going to get on stage, you've got to be able to deliver it in one
Yeah.
take, right? So, yeah, eventually somebody's got to get their level of practice up to, okay, now I can
Right.
go perform this. So whether you do it before or after you record the song, I guess it's kind of a preference thing, but I think a lot of guys do punch-ins now because they don't write. They're freestyling, and so they'll
Yeah.
freestyle 3 bars and then quit and punch in again after that or whatever. And then I think memorize the full verse once they have it all recorded chunk by chunk or whatever. But
Hey, man, I'm not mad
yeah,
at it. Like, it is what it is. Like, I'm not trying to be that old guy who's like, yo, this is how I do it, and this is how you
yeah,
got to do it, or you're whack MC. Like, I'm not trying to be that guy as much as like maybe people listen to my music and might think I'm that guy. But like, just you do you, man. That's kind of everything's just changed a lot when it comes to how we make music and how these kids are making music compared to how I started making music. And
yeah. I feel
yeah.
like I talk to a lot of 30 and 40 something year old MCs. And I feel like most of them are pretty open minded to the what's the new stuff, right? But I feel like just when people see an MC who has been around for 20 years in hip hop, they just assume that that guy is kind of like a hater of the new stuff because that was
Right.
the way it was for so long. But at this point, I think that that's dying off now. Like nobody wants
Yeah,
to be seen as that old hater, right?
kinda, because and I don't even know necessarily if you're right about it dying off. I think it's just that the guys that initially, someone my age was thinking of as like the haters or whatever, they're like the middle child now. You know what I mean? If I'm the dad of rap, they're the middle child, and like there's a bunch of younger kids coming up that
Yeah.
I don't understand their fucking slang anyways. So like they might be dissing all of us. I don't fucking know. It don't matter.
Yeah, yeah, weird, man. So I guess did you mention the drop date for the new album
Yeah,
for
so
45 isn't 23?
I'm kind of like in like the most I don't know, in the most modern way possible. It's almost like I'm dropping this like it's 1995. Like that's kind of the year that I draw a lot of reference to back then. Like I wore number 23 playing basketball, so that's the play on words is, 45 isn't 23. I know I'm not the kid that I was before, but this
Yeah,
is about the evolution to who I am now. And I mean, my favorite format back then was cassette. So I'm dropping it on cassette. No streaming, like, at least not initially. I mean, if I change my mind in like a year or something like that, maybe I'll throw it up. But
yeah.
initially no streaming. You can get it on Bandcamp. You can buy the tape. I'll do vinyl eventually. Um, you can still buy it on like iTunes and Amazon, but like if you know much about supporting the artists, if you buy it on Bandcamp, that's where you're
Yeah.
going to get like the full experience. And I'll make sure you get a digital copy if you buy any of the merch and all that shit, you know?
Buy it on
Uh,
Bandcamp Friday, first Friday of the month, most months.
yeah,
It gives all the proceeds direct to the artist. I mean, buying music on, like you said, Amazon or iTunes, it's better than streaming. You know, the artist will get a little bit more money.
yeah,
But yeah, if you can find it on Bandcamp, I always recommend people to do the same and buy it off of Bandcamp.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like I'm opening up a pre-order November 21st, so a little later this month. I'm going to drop the first single that day. I'm going to drop another single about a month later. We're going to do another one to start 2026. And then February 27th is when I'm going to drop the title track 45 isn't 23 plus the whole album.
Okay.
Um, so just kind of give a little peek along the way. I've got some pretty cool merch that I'm going to be selling with this. So I'll have that all available on the Bandcamp through the pre-order as well. And yeah, man, like I'm really excited about this shit. It's the first one that I've put this much time into in a long time.
Word. So I feel like it's a challenge to get music out if you're not going to use the streaming platforms. Can you talk about, I don't know, the mentality behind staying off of streaming at first and how you're
Well,
going to overcome that challenge to get heard?
so check it out like this. I mean, you've probably experienced this before too. You meet a new artist, one of the first things they end up telling you in their your conversation is, "Oh yeah, I've got X amount of Spotify monthly listeners." And to me, as much as that's kind of just like a fucking makes me cringe inside a little bit as an artist who's already feels like we're getting ripped off by the streaming industry,
Yeah.
it's like that really just tells me you don't know who your fans are at all. And I mean, to me, I'd rather have, 50 loyal fans than, 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. And it kind of draws me back to what I was mentioning before about just knowing who your fans are. Like at one point in time when I was a bit of a road warrior when it came to hip hop, I did make some connections along the way, but I didn't do things like build a really strong email list.
Mhm.
And then I essentially was relying on these platforms that could go away at any time or change the way they deliver what you're showing to people, essentially silence you completely if they want to. I was relying on that for people who I made connections with along the way to still stay with me. Yeah, and I've been lucky enough where like I know from looking at my streaming data that I've got about 500-ish to 600-ish people who listen to my music every month, regardless of if I'm promoting a new song or whatever. And like I feel blessed for that.
Yeah.
Like I built that kind of from the ground up and just making sure I was putting music out and knowing the marketing behind it where I could leverage these meta platforms to get certain stuff in front of people to hopefully get the return of actually having a real fan, And I mean, at the end of the day, let's say even of that 500 people, like, let's call it, I don't know, 20% come with me. So 100 people actually want to come and tune in 100% of the time to what I'm doing. Okay. So now let's say if I can get only 50% of those people to go come off of just listening to streaming to actually like getting a digital download that they can still put on their phone and listen to,
Yeah.
or buying some really cool merch to support an independent artist whose music they really fuck with, then that's still 50 people right there. And I
Yeah.
mean, I'm gonna put some stuff out here pretty soon, just talking about community. I'm gonna start trying to build here. And I mean, I don't even really care if it's just like me and my mom in there at first, but like people who actually fuck with my music will be able to join the community and essentially get some access to like some behind the scenes type shit. If I put out, a random single I want everybody to hear early or something like that, you know, and just somewhere that again I can talk to the people who actually fuck with my shit. And I mean, let's talk money even, right? Like Spotify, we know how much they fuck us all over.
Yeah, nothing,
So,
right? Yeah.
right, like you get nothing for your song. So like let's say even like I get it that a lot of the younger guys get excited about the numbers, right? And I mean some of the guys my age get excited about the numbers too. But like say
Well,
you're sorry, go ahead.
and numbers are so tricky though, because like you said, like hip hop is this competitive thing, right? Where
Mhm.
everybody loves to talk about how competitive hip hop is and how we're all trying to prove that we're the top of the heap or whatever as MCs. And it's like ultimately for most outsiders looking at hip hop who aren't, part of the culture themselves, they don't know what the fuck a good MC is. So they just have to look at those numbers. Like the numbers on Spotify end up being kind of a scoreboard
Yeah.
for people who don't know the game, right? Who
Yeah.
who can't tell what's actually good. So they're just looking at like, oh well, this guy's most popular, right? Um, but yeah, there's so many
But dude, how
problems with
many times have
streaming.
you listened to somebody that you're like, okay, well, wow, who's this guy? Fuck, he's got 100,000 streams on this song. And you put it on and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So that's not going to keep you there, but I guess he just added to his counter. So like you say, like people don't know. So even we can get tricked sometimes.
totally. Yeah.
And
Well,
I
and even
mean,
like promoters and stuff, they're booking people based off of that number. So much of the game has boiled down to that fucking number that like streaming has just become this monolith. And yeah, we talk about it a lot in these interviews with different artists about like how do we fucking manage to get around this? And then like you said, get people to actually go buy the music rather than just looking at music as something that's free because streaming has made, if you're 20 right now, music has been just a thing that you get for free your entire life.
yeah,
You know,
it's
you and
crazy,
I
right?
used to 20 years ago buy CDs. I mean, we still
Oh,
probably do
dude, I
buy
got
physical music, right?
fucking tons in here. You know
Yeah,
what
and
I'm saying?
vinyl and whatever else, right? And
Yeah.
and
Canadian hip
so
hop CDs, you wouldn't believe how many I got.
right, man. Yeah. So like for us, it doesn't seem like too much to drop a little bit of money for music, but for young people, it's been free their entire life.
Right?
So it's a tough sell. And my suggestion has been with a couple different artists that they should be just using Spotify and the streaming platforms like the radio used to be.
Mhm.
Put a single there, to
Awareness.
draw people to the album, yeah, to spread awareness. But if they want to listen to the full album, just like if they used to hear it on the radio and want to listen to the rest of the album, they'd have to go fucking buy it. And
Yeah.
and that would be my suggestion to you is like maybe drop a single on Spotify as the album
Yeah.
releases or whatever, right? But don't give them the full thing. Um, because yeah, there's no real reason that we have to give them the full meal for
Well,
free. We could just give them
and
a
here's the
taste, right?
thing. Here's the thing too there, bro. Like when it comes to like, okay, yeah, maybe these younger people, if that's where they're gonna go because they've never paid for music before, like I can be realistic. Like you heard my album, man. There's 20-year-olds aren't listening to my shit.
Sure,
Like,
yeah,
I've got a 28-year-old daughter who thinks it's cool because I'm her dad. I've got a 16-year-old boy in the house who, like, I know he thinks some of it's cool, but for the most part, like, he's listening to Travis Scott and shit like that. You know
right.
what I mean? So, like, I can be realistic that that's not my audience anyway. It's cool if I get some of them, but like, that's the guys who listen to the kind of rap that I make are, for the most part, 30 plus.
Yeah, and they're
And even to
boycotting
say,
Spotify on the principle of it or whatever, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
so, if they can just fuck with me as an artist, then that's cool. And if I'm completely wrong and this doesn't go as good as I want it to, then, it'll end up on those platforms. But
yeah.
I got to at least take a stand as an artist here off the jump here and kind of show that there's more value to it than that and try and build an experience for the people who really fuck with me, you know?
I like the intention, man. I hope it works out. And
Thanks,
I'm
bro.
sure it will because, like you said, you do have a loyal fan base that will still fuck with your music even if it's not on streaming or whatever. So, I think that's a unique lane to be in, and one that you kind of have to have been building for the past 20 years to have access to. Almost, I think.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, So I talk a lot with artists about kind of aging in hip hop, I guess, and my opinion on it is that artists get better as they get older, right?
Yeah, man.
The very rare artist is the best that they're going to get when they're 18, right? Like as much as we like to compare hip hop to sports, it's a different thing than sports. You don't tear your ACL when you're 32 and have to stop making hip hop,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, um, so I kind of wanted to ask, like, with the 45 isn't 23, it's a bit of a reference to like that MJ lost a step or few, and when he came back, it wasn't the same. Are you saying that about yourself, or
Well, here's the thing though. He came back and he wasn't the same, but he figured it out and he won 3 more championships in a row. And
okay,
then he went and chilled out for 3 years and played golf and smoked cigars and hung out with his homies, and then came back again because he owned the team and they were struggling.
that's wild. See,
Like, it's
I don't know
it's
basketball history that well. I didn't know that
yeah,
that was the
yeah.
full story of that. Okay.
So
I
it's
knew he
kind
came
of
back and played for the Wizards a bit or whatever, but
it's
he
more
was
of a
the owner
story
of the
of, like,
Wizards? Was
pardon
that
me?
he owned the Wizards? Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, that
Yeah,
makes more
some crazy
sense. Yeah.
shit, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And I mean, yeah, like, that's kind of the thing, dude, is it's like, I went down and I know that I started to think differently, and part of it is, like, initially pain and then just going through nerve pain and then having the way that that affects your brain, and then being on certain medication that, I'm really thankful I figured out that some of the issues I was having were from a medication, and then having to try and heal my brain as well as my body, like, it affects the way that you think and you look at things a lot, and then basically, like, even where I'm at right now today, I'm just not physically the same person that I used to be,
Mm,
but I figured it out. You know what I mean? And like mentally, yeah, I had some stuff going on, but I've healed. And even though I'm not who I once was, man, like I figured it out and I know I still go just as hard. And as you say, guys get better as they get older. Part of getting better is just kind of figuring out how to do things more efficiently and in different ways. And if you tie it into sports, for instance, like I know when I was playing like men's league football when I was in my early 30s, it was like I realized I was losing a step, but I also knew I could get to the same place on the field just as fast because I knew how to get there more efficiently now.
right.
You know what I mean?
Lean on the
So,
experience a little bit more than the
yeah.
strength of youth, I guess. Yeah,
Right. So,
that
like, we
makes
always
sense.
get sharper, yes, but we're also sharper because we're efficient, we're experienced, we've been through more. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Hell yeah, man. So I guess to kind of segue to my next question here, like drawing off of experience, I noticed that you've got a lot of elements that are drawing from past hip hop on this new project. Like you've got a lot of vocal chops on the samples. Um, eh, on the hooks, I guess specifically, I mean to say,
Yeah.
sampled vocal chops and DJs doing their thing there. Were you choosing those samples, or was that kind of on the DJs? And who was the DJ doing those cuts on most of the tracks?
And DJ Payne did the cuts on most of that stuff. And
Okay,
I want to kind of explain something too on that front, I guess. It's kind of dope. Like, I think a lot of guys don't realize how much access we have to some of these guys that you can find on YouTube or BeatStars or wherever you're looking or the parts of the beat clubs that you could get into, some of these people
yeah,
where it's more like they're just another person who you could actually find off platform and you can reach out to people and you can make your own connections in a lot of really crazy ways. Like uh, on one of the Harvey Dent albums, we liked a beat we heard on YouTube and we started looking into, well, who is this? Let's reach out to this guy. And we ended up actually not using the beat, but seeing who the guy who did the cuts was. And then I basically found him on Instagram, I think, started up a connection with him. Next thing you know, I'm sending him, all these different samples and different stuff from our own vocal stuff to do the chops with on the album. And it's just I mean, even like I've ended up buying a beat from somebody before and going, oh, if I reach out to this guy by this email that's on this invoice, what's going to happen? And then next thing you know, it's like, dude, this guy actually like listened to my music, fucks with me a little bit, and we're going to work something out.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, sorry to get back to your initial question.
No,
uh,
that's all good, man. I
yeah,
was with you. Yeah.
yeah, he ended up choosing the cuts for most of that stuff.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is amazing, man. The internet, as much as it's easy to shit on it and hate on social media and everything. It really
Hmm.
does make linking up with other like-minded people, across the country and around the world so much vastly easier. And
Right.
to what you were saying about just like that, when you reach out to artists, they tend to be good people who, will
Yeah.
fuck around and want to make art if you're making good art. I've been amazed with how easy it is to just like book these things, that people will talk to me for an hour
Yeah.
week to week and come away thanking me for it and saying like, oh, that was great, like it's been so much fun and just the connections that I've made through this show have been amazing. So yeah, I definitely can vouch for the power of the internet to link up with good artists and for um the tendency for artists to be good people who want to make
Yeah.
art
It's
and who
down to
want to
earth,
talk
man.
art and yeah, exactly, who it's easy to talk to. That tends to be the case a lot of the time, man. I did want to
Yeah.
ask you about social media though, because like you talk about social media quite a bit on this album, right? there's
Yeah.
there's quite a lot of I want to
Oh
say like
yeah, man.
hatred necessarily for social media, but you talk a lot about how it influences people and how it's being
It's
used to divide
yeah.
us, these kind of things, right? Do
Essentially,
you
yeah,
really think
man.
it's a big negative factor on people?
I do, man. And I think more than anything, it's just the messages. How do I say this? The way that their software works is so good, man, that they can tailor from me to you to one of my kids to the guy down the street what they need to put in front of us to make us believe what they want us to believe, man. And
Yeah.
I don't want to go into some big conspiracy theory type thing and have anybody on the internet think I'm crazy. But I think
I
more and
mean,
more
that's
of us
just
are
facts.
realizing this.
That's just
Yeah.
facts what you said that the algorithms are manipulating us. I think everybody has to agree with that one, right?
And
Um,
you have to be really conscious of what you're looking at. And then where it gets even stronger for me is you and I are old enough to kind of get a grip on what's going on. But I got a lot of kids, man,
sure.
and it's hard to really just keep them off of it. You know what I mean? Like eventually somehow one of these apps that they're on is going to be showing them what they want to show them, and it's not going to be something that I approve of a lot of the time.
Right.
And I mean, that just kind of rolls into so many other different things, right? But it really is kind of a sad state of affairs because it's also such a great tool for us for connecting and for like again as an artist, like I'm relying on this stuff a little bit to get my message in front of people.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? So that's where I say, like, it's who am I to say all this shit about how awful social media is and media in general when I'm just gonna kind of try and leverage it myself.
You
But
still got to use it. Yeah. The thing is, I always preach about how like people just have to curate their feeds,
mhm,
if you don't want to see it, tell the feed that you don't want to see it and the algorithm will adapt to that, right? Like
yeah,
you can curate
exactly.
that feed any which way, but if you don't hit like and if you don't hit block and if you don't hit anything, like if you're just scrolling it, then the algorithm is
Yeah,
just going to keep leading you down whatever path it wants. And if you want to kind of take the wheel of it more, you've got to curate and be conscious about like, okay, well, like for instance, on my Instagram, I just follow like thousands of Canadian artists. So like
yeah, I feel you.
my Instagram feed is I can scroll it and like there's the odd political thing there, but that's because I like the odd political thing on my feed too,
Yeah,
right?
I
Like
feel you.
I like keeping up on that stuff too. So um it just is so important to curate it and really cut out the shit that is is pollution in your life, I guess.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel you.
right. But like you said, we've got to use it. And it's a great tool when it's used properly by people who are, you know, promoting their art and finding new art and these types of things. I always blame humans for being shitty rather than blaming the technology, man. It's like people
Yeah.
just don't have any business being on there because they're fucking boring. They don't have
Right.
anything to promote. They don't have opinions on stuff. So like they're
Oh,
scrolling
dude.
cat
There's some.
photos
Oh,
and like
yeah.
of course
There's
that's
this
not
one
going to be
dude on
great.
TikTok, man. I can't remember what his name is. You know what? Even if I can remember his name, I'm not gonna say it. But he's
Yeah.
a rapper from somewhere in Western Canada. And I don't know if he's ever put a fucking song out, but I watch his TikTok and he's just always fucking clowning or trolling somebody and then asking people if they've ever heard of him as a rapper and every yeah. Oh, it's hilarious. But yeah, sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
no, not at all, man. I mean, I probably am following that guy too. I can't guess who you're talking about, but yeah, I don't know. I did want to ask you a little bit about like on canceled and banned, and
Yeah.
just to preface this, like I'm a lefty. I am as progressive as they come. I tend to gravitate towards that side of the political spectrum. But on
Yeah, that's
canceled
okay.
and banned, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's okay if you don't. I wanted to ask though about like you talk about like, you know, conservatives voting liberal because they've been tricked by social media. And I kind of thought to myself, like, isn't social media owned by a bunch of right-wing billionaires who were on stage with
Well,
MAGA last time? Like, I don't know if I don't know if that narrative.
here's here's what I'm trying to say when I say I think I see conservative hearts with liberal votes in hand.
Right.
Because like I watched this last election where a lot of the people, at least that I know or that were close to me and in part of my life,
Yeah.
that were clearly not leftists, but they went to the polls and that's how they voted.
Yeah.
And they try and argue that that's the side they're on, but then they support the opposite. So it's just kind of trying to make the point that like a lot of people are just fucking confused and they don't even know what they're voting for. They just know what the people at the water cooler at work were talking about, who they think they should vote for essentially because of the people that are around them and the things that are being presented to them.
Well, and I
I
think
mean,
whichever side of the spectrum you're on, your feed is going to show you because the algorithms, like you said, are so fucking good at creating engagement. They know that the things we're most likely to actually react to, engage with,
yeah.
share to our buddy and say, would you look at this fucker? Are the things we disagree with, right? They're the things
Yeah,
that piss us off.
exactly, right?
So if you're a conservative, it's going to show you, you know, the most outrageous things that the left does, and if you're a lefty, it's going to show you the most outrageous things that the right does.
Because they
And
want to divide us. They want to make
yeah,
me and you argue on camera right now. You know
and
what I'm
keep us
saying?
pissed off about it, right? And keep us, I don't know, keep us, yeah, othering each other rather than pointing at the real problems in society. I feel like, you know,
Yeah,
there's
it's all love, but like,
yeah,
some guys, man, are just too extreme on one side or the other, man, and that's again, that's a whole nother fucking bag of worms. But like,
for real, man. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know. I think I can agree with you that the algorithm is definitely creating too much division in society, and that it can be a dangerous thing. And I liked what you said about for kids. You know, I'm glad that I
that's
learned
what
how
I'm
to
most
find.
worried about.
Yeah, I'm glad that I learned how to find addresses without GPS because there was no GPS when I first got my license. You know what I mean?
Right?
And in that same
I feel
way,
you.
I'm glad that I, you know, figured out how to navigate society before
Yeah,
social
yeah.
media is what it is now, or was what it is now. Um,
No, I
because
feel you,
yeah,
bro. Like, I'm glad I can look on my cell phone right now and tell if my kid's on their way home from school. You know what I'm saying? But like, at the same time, I still feel pretty old school. And then, like, I'm talking about trying to release this album like it's the 90s. But I mean, that doesn't mean, like, yeah, it means I'm making a cassette, but it doesn't mean I'm like parked on the corner trying to stop people and just make them buy a tape on the street. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So, like, yeah.
So how
Technology,
are you
man.
going to sell these tapes? Are you planning on doing like a ton of touring? You got a bunch of live shows coming up that you'll be selling them at,
Um,
or
I do have some plans in the back half of next year, or really kind of mid-year, to get things popping. I can't say 100%
sure?
where exactly I'll all be, but the goal is going to be to hit some of the major centers in Canada. The whole like touring across Canada and hitting every little tertiary market, along the way is like those days are kind of past for me, unfortunately, at
What's
least
the
for the
cutoff?
time being.
A million cities with a million you hitting, or like is
Well, well,
Saskatoon
like,
too small? Would you still do Saskatoon? I mean, obviously
yeah,
because it's your hometown, but
yeah, like
let's
we do a
say
couple here a year, and I mean, we played Summer Fling this past year, which is a big hip hop festival that we've done locally here for like 20 plus years.
right,
Um, Yeah, but and then I mean, I don't want to rule out the possibility of doing some stuff internationally too. So we'll
sure,
see what's up. But it's time for me to put as hard of a push on this one as I can. And yeah, I'll be selling some stuff live at the shows. I'll be relying on a lot of my supporters to go to my Bandcamp and buy stuff from me. And
nice.
yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense, man. How about where did you record? Let's talk a little bit about the actual recording process. You mentioned that it was a lengthier process than it has been in the past for you with some projects. I noticed on What's the Haps, the last track on the album, you kind of are talking about the process, like
you're right.
as you're rhyming, it's about how you create. And there was kind of some talk about like freestyling. The hook is like to see what happens or whatever, right? Like just kind of get to it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Is that typically how you'll go about making like starting a song? Is it beat first and then
Well,
just kind of freestyle a bit and see what sticks?
that one was interesting because, like you say, describing a lot of the process. Because I initially wasn't I was done at 7 songs, and then I was just like, "I feel like it's missing something." I need something that's just a little bit different vibe. I decided I liked that beat and just started kind of freestyling, and then was like, "Okay, yo, I gotta take some of those lines I just freestyled," and then I put together in exactly that, just talking about, like, how I was gonna make the song, how I just needed a little bit of space to kind of figure this shit out,
Yeah,
where typically that's not the way I do things. And I mean, for years, I recorded in my basement. Of course, living with my folks when I was young, I was recording in the basement, bouncing around apartments in my 20s. I always had some kind of little living room set up. As I ended up getting older, got a little bit better home set up. But then I got to the point where, in maybe 2012, 2013-ish, I kind of felt like to sound good, I need to go step my game up a little bit. And that's when I quit recording myself. But then 2020, pandemic, and none of the studios I worked with were quite certain they wanted me coming through.
sure.
So I ended up going back to recording at home. I built myself a little setup in the house I was in at the time. And just kind of retaught myself how to engineer using a computer instead of all the old school shit I used. Like, yeah, it was just relearning the process, man, and then eventually kind of falling in love with that and being like, dude, I like the way my shit sounds when I do it myself. So I'm gonna just build the best room I can to make sure the vocals sound good enough to work with. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of how it all went down now.
Um, do you find like the actual recording yourself process is easier? I talk to a lot of guys, and I myself find that just like,
Um,
recording my own self is less pressure than actually paying to go into a studio and have some engineers sit there and hit the buttons for you or whatever. Like at
well,
home, you can just work till 2 in the morning if you want to, and
yeah,
yeah,
and that is pretty mid, being able to just work on your own schedule, right?
yeah,
I mean, I was working with a dude for quite some time who he was just outside of Kalonze, which is a small town in Saskatchewan. And basically, it was like off the grid road, blah, 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 into a group of trees. There's a farmhouse, basement, this sick fucking music studio. He's since moved to a different town and bought a church and now has this crazy studio called the Sound Castle, which I ended up doing a little bit of recording in. But yeah, man, like I don't know. I recorded some of Heal, most of Heal, which was my last EP, with Factor Chandelier. I've recorded with him a number of projects over the years, but I never really just am like booking time at a studio with someone I don't know. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Is Factor
Um,
still based in Saskatoon? Or
yeah,
yeah, okay, yeah. I wasn't
yeah.
sure if he had moved off someplace or if he was international by now or what, but yeah, that dude's
He's
good.
leaves town a lot, but he's still home base here. Yeah.
Nice.
Um, yeah. So I mean, it's dope recording on my own again.
Yeah, weird man. Um, I
I
guess
don't know if
here,
I
let's
answered your question at all, but I hope so.
no, you did. I just wanted to talk about, the differences of home recording versus actually going into studios and shit like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, about is there kind of this is a tough one, but I like asking it to people. What's something from the album that you hope people don't miss? Is there a theme or line or concept specifically that you
Um,
you hope people catch?
there's a couple of things that are kind of dope. One thing that just kind of happened, and fuck, I swear to God, this just happened. When I finished doing that last song and then dropping it into the mix, the length of the project became 23 minutes and 45 seconds. And
What?
I'm just like, man, you know how some things just kind of happen for a reason? Like, obviously,
Yeah,
I was supposed to make that song that way and bounce it the way I did. And then I was just like, okay, well, that's pretty fucking cool because I've done all these kind of tight references throughout the album that, unless you really know the story, you're not gonna, grasp all of it. But
right.
I hope that you can still kind of get the message that I'm trying to convey in most of the songs, you know? Like
Yeah,
I've got my songs where I'm just getting bars off, but there's the concept attached to it. And then, I've got some that are just a little bit more personal, whether it's, something that's close to my heart or just my opinions on
yeah.
something.
Hey, fair enough, man. Here, let me rapid fire some random questions at you here.
Okay.
What's the last time you wrote a bad verse?
Uh, uh, you know what? Like ego says never, but like it's I don't want to be that guy.
This
So like
question's a total ego check. It was designed as an ego check for
right,
me to, yeah,
because like
get a
bad for me is like if I write a verse and then maybe I'm just like not feeling it. But I don't feel like I'm writing shit down that I look at and go, oh my God, I would never say that out loud. So like that's different than whack. You know what I'm saying? Or put it this way here, I'll try not to ramble too much on this, but like good rap versus bad rap. Some of like the songs that I really fucking like from back in the day, like um fucking Cell Therapy by Goody Mob. Like that
okay,
beat goes fucking hard, right? And there's a cool message they're conveying. But like, I'm sorry if anyone gets mad at me. I like the song, but the fucking raps are not good in that song. Like those are whack verses, man. And it just is what it is. And then like take a guy like Rascass, where some of his albums I've had a hard time staying with them personally because I didn't like the beat, but I did stay with him because his raps are just fucking dope all the time.
right.
So yeah, to me, I'm not gonna say I've never written a bad verse, but I've written shit that I wasn't really feeling before.
Sure. Um, how often do you write? That last question is kind of another way for me to ask guys that because some of them are like, well, shit,
Yeah,
I write every day, so sometimes it's bad.
I mean, I kind of write every day. I I get up early every day and I come down and I do some writing that's not raps, and then I do some other stuff. And I typically at least have some sort of idea. And I mean, as I've been working on this project, I'm at least like working on some kind of concepts towards the album. So I don't necessarily like write a verse every day, but then I'll do things like with the Harvey Dent shit with Sunday sessions. For the year we did 23 of them. I think I wrote and recorded them all in like a day and a half. And then like we ended up making, I think, up to number 40. And I wrote from like 24 to 40 in again like a day and a bit, bounced off demos and sent them to him.
Nice.
So yeah,
Depends.
it all
Depends then. Eh?
depends.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
How about yeah, that's fair. How about do you get more fulfillment from being on stage or from being in the studio?
Probably for being on stage, which is kind of sad because the landscape's changed so much that I feel like even if I did want to be out there playing locally, even like once or twice a month, wouldn't be fucking worth it.
Mm,
Um, People just aren't going out to shows like that around here, or at least my crowd isn't.
okay.
And also, just again, because of my limited mobility a little bit, going on tour at this exact moment isn't really happening either. Um, so yeah, man, like it's sad because like that's where I'm at home the most, and I put a lot of time and effort over the years into learning to be good live. I take a
Right.
lot of pride in it. I went to workshops to learn how to get better, and yeah, I just take a lot of pride in that part of things. So when the day comes when I can do a lot more shows, which I know is just around the corner, I'm gonna be super pumped because I take
Yeah.
so much like pride from that, man.
I mean, I feel like Saskatoon, you know, has a fairly active hip hop community. I see guys doing shows out there and there's like, you know, awards and stuff being given out. Like you mentioned the Saskatchewan Music Awards that
Yeah,
you won last year and stuff. So like it seems like it's, you know, more live than it could be anyways. I see Skizza and Big Tones and guys like that
yeah,
doing
yeah.
shows
They're all
out in
doing their thing,
Saskatoon.
man,
Yeah,
and again, like I'm not trying to say that like there isn't stuff going on, but like it's just the energy's different, man. Everything just
okay.
hits a lot different than it did like 5 years ago. And I'm not trying to like live in the past, but I mean, the for me as, an adult who's trying to not only make sure that people hear my music, but like raise a family and, try and get some businesses off the ground and things like that,
Yeah,
to go out and play twice a week and have like one of those 8 shows in that month have more than like 25 people at it,
yeah,
it's not happening. And plus, like, now being in this state where more and more people are picking choosing how often they go out, unless again they're that young crowd, which I don't typically cater to, then I mean, I have to build up some like desire to want to come out and watch us play.
yeah. I think a lot of
So
that comes down to just everybody's broke now, dude. Like fucking, if it comes down to buying tickets to the show or paying your rent, you know, a lot of people are paying their rent and making up an excuse
yeah,
why they can't go to the
you know
show, I
what?
think. You
We're
know?
lucky because we still have some venues in Saskatoon that will let you play a show on a weekend for pretty cheap.
Okay.
So when I look at to some of these guys that are booking shows, like we're playing a show on November 28th, a Harvey Dent show at the Green Room.
Nice.
And it's basically like, if you don't know if you know much about the venues here, but Coors Event Center being our like 1,000-person venue, they
Okay.
do a couple different size stages now. They do one that's maybe like a 300-person room, I think. And then they've got like the 150-person room being the green room. And it's not that expensive to just rent out on a Friday or Saturday night, man, and do a show and the sound's decent. It's a pretty cool vibe. It's downtown.
Nice.
So, I mean, big up to the guys that are doing a lot of shows locally, man. And if all you and all your homies want to still come out and hang out that often, and that's dope. Like
Well,
it's
I
just
don't know
the
if
scene's
anybody's
different
doing
to me.
if they're doing twice weekly shows. Were you ever doing twice weekly shows actually? Like back in the day
Oh man.
it was that popping?
Well, we would take it to the level where it was like certain bars would have an open mic. It's like,
Okay,
well,
yeah.
yeah, let's just show up with like some music and go rap some fucking songs. So
Yeah.
we could play whenever we wanted, getting ready for the good shows where we knew there was going to be a bunch of hip hop heads out.
Right.
Right. So I did that so much, man. And then when I was promoting a lot of shows and I would get guys hollering at me, being like, yo, I've never performed before. So, I want you to give me my first shot. That was always my answer. It was like, I didn't get a shot. So, like,
Yeah.
I want to lift you up, but show me first that you're going to help yourself and like go out and create an opportunity for yourself, even if it means going to an open mic. Because I mean, that's where it all starts, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can blame whatever you want at the end of the day. If you don't get where you want to get to, man, like you're really the only one that can get in your own way. There's always a way you can get yourself in front of people.
For real. And I think, you know, even with streaming culture what it is now, you can have that work be put an album out. You know, maybe you haven't done any shows, put that album out, and maybe if the album is dope, somebody will hear it and actually be like,
Right?
"Oh, okay, I co-sign this. This guy's obviously talented and trying to do something." But it's when, when the rapper that wants to open has no songs and he can point you to his SoundCloud or whatever, and he's got one song that he recorded on a
Yeah,
fucking
man.
cell phone on there or whatever. Like, yeah,
I
it's
I
tough
did
to
some of those
trust.
shows. I promoted some shows where there was a lot of openers. And I
Yeah,
know a lot of the older heads don't like that. But essentially I still had like rules behind that. Where it was like you can't rap over your vocals. You can't be whack. I'm not gonna put somebody on something with my name on it that I think is whack.
yeah,
And you have to bring something to the table. You can't just say, yo, I'm dope, put me on the show. Nobody knows who the fuck I am.
yeah.
Because it's business too, man. And people say a lot of shit when they're not the one who's going to lose money about how you do things.
And just having criteria like that, I think, puts you beyond what a lot of promoters are doing when they're booking these shows. I think
Yeah.
not a lot of thought goes into who's opening a lot of these shows, which is a shame because when big name acts come through town, like you said, old heads don't like a lot of openers. I don't know if anybody likes a lot of openers.
Yeah,
You know,
man.
yeah, I
You
don't
know what
think
we've been doing
young
for these
people are
Harvey
any
Dent
more
shows,
into it.
bro?
What's that?
We do for these Harvey Dent shows we've been doing over the last couple of years. We do like a 15 to 20-minute set like early in the night. And we tell everybody, okay, that's what you can expect. Let's hang out. We spin old school rap music for like an hour or so. And then we go and we play for like an hour plus.
Yeah,
And everybody who came there came for us anyways. So why am I trying to get, two or three other guys to get on the show and invite 30 of their friends down who might not fuck with us anyway?
yeah.
Like,
That's
it's been
legit.
kind
I
of
think
cool.
having a DJ play music, maybe if you had one opener who was actually somebody whose music you
Yeah.
fuck with and
And
think,
that happens sometimes
might
too.
have
Don't get me wrong.
crossover. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that sounds beautiful, man. So I do a segment here with everybody I talk to called "How Important Is," and I
Okay.
just rattle off how important is this or that, and you can answer it any way you want, long winded or real brief if you want to. But
All right.
let's say how important is improvisation on stage?
Um, I want to say very, but it depends, man. Because, like, if you mean improvisation, like every night somebody just as part of the show, to put on a good show, they should have to improvise somehow. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but to be a good performer, you got to be ready to improvise when it
Sure.
happens.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're just a robot and that's awesome. But if something happens, like somebody throws a fucking beer at you while you're rapping and it throws you off a little bit, you better be able to find some way to kind of keep the peace. Like, I don't know, man. I did a show where it was so packed. It was on a tour I did with Mercules in 2017. And I think it was it might have been in like Lethbridge or some shit. You
Okay.
know, like
That's
it was in,
that's where I'm at. I don't know if you know that or not, but
yeah, that's
yeah.
why I'm
Okay.
kind of like, it might have been there actually. It was
Okay.
like a shitty little bar, kinda, and we played in like a lounge that had no stage because it got so cramped. I was standing on a speaker, and there was chicks like fighting right in front of me, like fist fights, and there was fights in the back. Someone got tossed through a window or some shit like that. And I
Holy
hear
shit.
people yelling "World Star," and it's like you got to be able to know how to keep the show going.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So very. There's your answer.
Very important. Yeah, yeah. Um, how important is showing up for sound check?
Also, I would say very for the most part. Um, I think that at least as like the headliner, it's definitely important for you to show up and make sure that you got your shit straight. Because like, not only is it going to be frustrating if you're the main attraction and you're not dialed in for yourself performing, but for everybody who's there to watch you, like we care as fans too if you sound good or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
As an opener, I always like to get there so I could build a relationship with the sound guy. So that's where I would call it very.
yeah.
But
Uh,
as far as sound goes, I know a good guy can get you dialed in. So yeah.
Yeah, if you have to skip it, they can probably work with you on the fly, but,
Yeah, if you sing a lot, you better fucking show up because you're gonna need to make sure you got your shit nice and
for
tight.
for sure, yeah. Um, how about how important is in-studio sessions with your producer?
Um, kind of important. Probably a good way to put that. It's a cool experience
Yeah,
if you've got somebody that you trust you're working with. I made an album in 2019. I guess I recorded it through a lot of 2018 also, called God Save the Crown. And I worked with an in studio producer. This was out at that studio in Colonze I was talking about, who basically it was just like, hey, dude, I want your feedback 100% if you're ever not feeling something I'm doing. And then also with the engineering duties after the fact to him, I said, take my shit, mix it however you fucking want. Just know that I want some weird shit and yeah, go crazy. So
nice.
like that's cool. But then also I know that I really like working by myself, like this making this last project. But then I also kind of have been thinking a lot. Remember that rapper John Forte? He was down with Fugees and shit in the 90s.
Yeah, yeah, I remember him, yeah.
Yeah, he was supposed to like be next up kind of thing. And
Right.
then he made an
Disappeared.
album where he didn't let anybody hear it. And
Okay.
then he thought he created a masterpiece. And he put it out and you probably never heard it, did you?
I no, can't
You
say
know
I
what I'm
did, yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
So like that's a little bit of a fear, but yeah, too
yeah,
late now.
fair enough, man, yeah. How about, how important is living what you rap about?
Um, I think that yeah, that's kind of a thing. I mean, as an underground cat, I think the whole like keep it real culture and shit like that,
Yeah,
it's important to us. But I also know that like if you think back to, we can talk about like Tupac or you can go back to like Sugar Hill Gang and look at what they were rapping about. Some of those things weren't really like their life, but
right,
there was more to it, right? They were telling a story. Um, That being said, I don't think I have anything to worry about because I haven't made any songs about slanging crack on the corner and
sure,
pimping hoes and shooting people and shit. So like,
yeah.
yeah, but so yeah, like it's important, man. But I'm not mad at people for whatever they do in their art, man. Just you do you. I'm over here doing me.
Let me give Tupac the pass because he shot that one undercover cop in his ass.
There you go.
So he at least had some gunplay in his life for sure. We know
Hey.
about it. Let's say, how important is any specific substance to your artistic process?
I mean, smoke mad weed. I did think about blazing while I was talking to you, but I decided not to be one of those guys. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
If I was in my own house, I would be smoking all the time during these interviews, but this is a apartment that we rent, and I don't want
Yeah,
to get
that's fair,
myself
bro.
kicked out, so I typically smoke after these things happen.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I feel you.
yeah,
So yeah, it's not like super important though. Like in fact, I started smoking weed when I was like a teenager, right? And then I quit in 2012, and I started again right near the end of 2018. And I don't know, man. It's not something that like I have to do before I write a song. I still think of cool shit when I'm not blazed.
yeah,
But before I go in and do with the intention of creating, I do usually go out and blaze one.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Take it or leave it, though. If you went 6 years writing songs without it, then that obviously proves it's possible without it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just in a different
Um.
place now.
Yeah, makes sense, dude. How about how important is making time to intake media, whether it's TV or movies or other music for that
Uh,
matter?
I mean, I don't want to say that it's important, but I enjoy it. I mean, I try real hard to like not waste my time on like movies or too much social media and shit like that. But at the same time, I enjoy it. So I'm not gonna say I never do like, watch a show or a movie or whatever. Watch YouTube videos. I try my hardest to stay off of Facebook for the most part. I really only go there to kind of check in on our shit.
Yeah.
Um, sorry everybody, but that's how I do it. you know, uh, TikTok for the most part, same idea. But yeah, like I do like to be active on YouTube anyways. Like that's kind of my
Sure.
shit right now.
Yeah, man. Let's do two more of these things. How important is winning industry awards?
I wouldn't say it's important. I wouldn't say it's very important, but I'd say that it is somewhat important if your goal is to kind of get some of the opportunities that you need to have some sort of accolades for. So, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, some guys might not have like a bio as an artist where they really say much at all.
Yeah.
And then some guys like, myself, I know I stack the first few sentences with, how many shows I've done, how many countries that I've played in. And,
I
you
almost
know,
commented on your bio. It's a resume full of
yeah,
accolades that you've
because I mean, those are
accumulated.
there for like if I want to get into a festival,
Yeah.
they gonna want to know. They don't want to know. Oh, I was born in Prince Albert on a cold summer day,
Yeah.
and born to a mother who was blah. Who fucking cares? Tell me who you are and why you're dope, so I should keep reading, and then
Yeah.
maybe click the thing and watch if you're dope live. That's how we get those opportunities, and that's how you get some of the awards and stuff too. So
I
I mean,
wonder if
I was pretty
anybody
pumped, so that's all good.
do you think only I was about to say like only promoters are reading bios anyways. Then I thought like I wonder if general pub does actually ever read
I don't
artists'
know.
bios. I kind of don't think they bother. It
I
seems like
don't,
the type
unless
of
I'm
thing.
trying to see what they wrote because I'm
Yeah,
polishing mine up or something.
I end up reading a lot of different artist bios because like
Right.
I'm constantly trying to follow all these different artists or whatever and figuring out like who people are and where they're from. So personally, I guess I'll say here that I appreciate when an artist says where they're from in their bio.
Yeah,
Because
I
there's
feel
there's a
you.
lot of guys I hear a song and it's featuring some artist and I like that artist verse and then I go click their Spotify and go over and look at their bio and there's nothing there and I think like okay, well if it would have told me you were in Canada I would have hit follow, but since all your
Yeah.
major listeners say it's from LA and a bunch of American cities, I'm gonna assume you're American, I guess, and not hit
It's hard
follow.
to tell sometimes, right? So I
Yeah,
feel you
right.
where you're coming from on that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. And it's cool reaching out to people that way too, right? Like,
Right.
so yeah, knowing which side of the world they're on, that's kind of a nice first step.
For real, man. Oh, this is interesting for a guy in Saskatchewan his entire
Okay.
career. How important is physical location as an artist?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's like, like the old cliche, like, it ain't from where you're from, it's where you at.
Right.
I mean, kind of rings true. I've always kind of felt like in Saskatchewan, I have homies who are on the West Coast that I would tour with, and I have homies on the East Coast who I would tour with, and they typically weren't homies themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
The scene
So
in
like,
Canada is very disjointed.
it's
So yeah, in
it's
Saskatchewan, you're
weird.
in a unique geographical location to be able to
Yeah,
tour west or east from there pretty easily, really.
yeah, and I mean, I don't know how much it matters saying you're from Saskatchewan to saying you're from Alberta or Manitoba or wherever.
Yeah.
If you're not saying you're from Toronto or
Toronto.
Vancouver and you're just talking about somewhere out of Canada, probably just
Yeah,
say you're from Canada. Because I mean, like I've toured the States a couple of times, and the one time we did, I think it was 15 shows, and lots of time spent in the van, obviously talking about rap things.
of course.
And I was the only Canadian there, and they didn't know who most of the guys in Canada that I thought were popping were. They had no fucking idea, man.
Oh, definitely not. No.
Yeah,
Uh,
and why would they, right?
yeah. Most
So,
Americans can probably name like Drake and maybe Cardinal Offishell if we're lucky.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the funny thing is, like, I did, like, I toured with Abstract Root out there, and he was with Battle Axe, right? At one point in
Yeah.
time. So that
Right.
was a little different than the stories that, we exchanged were pretty dope just because of being here and his connection to that part of Canadian hip hop.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. Well, we're over the hour mark here. Appreciate you spending time talking
Word.
with me. There's full of quick questions I ask before I let anybody leave. Can you
All right.
describe your local scene?
Um, like historic, man. It's come a long ways, and I've been lucky enough to kind of see from when we didn't really have a scene as a kid to where it is now. And I know there's a lot of young guys out here doing their thing that I'm not a part of, and much respect to them because now they're kind of creating their own history too. And I mean, the best of the best, the names are all going to go down. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah, man. Any Canadian artists who you haven't collabed with, who you would like to collaborate with? I believe word
Um,
manifests, so speak it into reality. Make it happen, man.
I would have said Mocha one time. I've been lucky enough to make music with him.
Here, yeah.
Red One and the Misfit, man, Rascals.
Hey,
That would be fucking cool if those guys decided to start getting active again, and I could make
I-
music with them.
I'd love to see that. Yeah, that would be great. Okay, plans for shows or tours that we can tell people to look out for? Anything like
Uh,
that that we need to plug one last time?
well, a couple of things, I guess. Just November 21st, you're going to see a lot of action on all my platforms about the pre-order being launched, as well as first song and video from the new album 45 Isn't 23. My group Harvey Dent, we got a show going down in Saskatoon, November 28th. And then you can expect just a whole lot of more music coming on a regular basis from this project, videos for every song, right through the first part of 2026. And then you'll end up seeing your guy out there on the road doing shows. So just keep it
Beautiful, man.
locked.
Well, if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
touch back down in Lethbridge, let me know. I'll definitely make it out to the show and
Word.
keep my fingers crossed that nobody gets thrown through a window for World Star at it.
All right.
Appreciate your time here, man. It's been
Thanks a
fun
lot, my
talking
man.
with you. Glad we got to meet up. All right, peace.
Likewise. All right. Peace, bro.
All right, everybody. I had fun talking with Ev. I hope that you guys learned something. These interviews happen every Tuesday here on twitch.tv/Doobyis. Doobyis.com is the hub for everything that I do, including After the Smoke is Clear, Sick Mixes. You can find the Sick archives over at mixcloud.com/Doobyis. But of course, through Doobyis.com, you can also find them there. Lots of interviews coming up still for the rest of the year here. Find my schedule. Boom, there we go. So, coming up next week, I talked to New Villain, Toronto-based MC, who's been very dope for a while here. I've been playing his music a lot on AtSick. It's always very, comic and media influenced, lots of references to pop culture and stuff like that in New Villain's work. Also kind of like, a lot of street stories. Looking forward to talking to him next week. November 18th, I talked to another, I want to say Saskatoon. I don't know. He's based in Saskatchewan anyways. I think he's back in Saskatoon. Ray the Nihilist is back on the show for November 18th. I talked to him a couple years ago now, I think, when he had moved out to Cranbrook in BC for a while. But he very recently won, I'm going to mess up the name of the organization, but I think it's like the Indigenous Artists of Saskatchewan, something along those lines. He won Best Indigenous Hip Hop Artist there very recently, so congrats to him. Looking forward to talking to him about that and some of the new music he's got coming up. November 25th, I talked to Pretty Ugly. That's another Toronto-based guy whose music I've played for a while. He had an album called Paper Bag Prince from last year, I want to say, and now he's prepping a bunch of new music. So looking forward to catching up with him. And then December 2nd, I end the season talking to Decisive. He is a MC from Toronto. Legend on the scene, looking forward to talking to him. He's a funny dude on his social medias, so it should be an entertaining one. I hope that the season goes out on a high note on that one, and then I'll be back in January to do more weekly interviews, not taking a very long break, but take a few weeks off through December there to be able to spend some time celebrating the holiday with family and whatnot. Yeah. make sure you check out 45 Isn't 23. He said it drops November 21st, I want to say. And yeah, get it on Bandcamp, people. Get it on Bandcamp. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.